a verse, you take word. So I turned on my phone and read the whole chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And he should have gotten some comfort from it because it says the Lord promised to take or to avenge the blood of those who were shed. And if we are going to claim the promises, we have to claim the God. You can't have your own God. These promises were made by and through Jehovah God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him.
Mm-hmm.
That is the God, you know. It is true because I was listening to something the other day on TBN the other morning, and this young man was doing a drive to history, and he was talking about the conquest of the Incas and so.
Yes.
By Spain and the Catholics, and the blood that was shed. And as we look to history, you know, if you compare, God is avenging these nations that were once so powerful. What are they now and where are they now? Have you thought about it?
I am thinking the same. I've been watching developments and saying the blood have not departed from your house.
Missing.
Mm-hmm.
You check. It's only a matter of time the Bible is correct. And it is sad, very sad that the people who brought Christianity did such murderous things, and they are not exempted. They're not exempted. You live in a community, they have a community center. Why don't you hold meetings? Why don't you ask the radio station? Sometimes they have a whole long period playing all kind of music to play some of the videos. They would not mind because it is education.
Yes.
Education does not have to be in school because sometimes in school the children don't quite grasp it. Sometimes you get older, you grasp the idea. Because even we talk about slavery and whatnot, as far as we're concerned, that was them. You know, in most of our minds, having not been through it, sometimes it's hard to relate to it.
We can't relate to it. We can't relate to it.
It's just that.
It's like an abstract concept.
An abstract is like
that happened to somebody else.
Like them and us.
Yeah.
Now, if you're really interested in educating, is there a black library? Have you put books in the public library in a section called African History where you can direct? Some of them have the books in their houses, you know. They have the books and the videos and so in their homes, and they make them available to one or two. Education is for the masses. And, you know, so when we come on, I say it again, If you're interested in education, you take an active part. Direct, look, all of you who have phones, go to YouTube. Type in Berlin Conference,
I know the
colonization of Africa. I mean, you learn so much. Direct people to the source of the information. And where possible, help them. That's why I give Kalanji credit, you know.
I was going to mention him, you know, and ask if you credit what he's doing because he comes on.
Yes, I mean, even though sometimes his interpretation may be a bit off, he give you the source.
Yes.
You understand? You hear it, you could back check it, because just as a man called, when he said verse 2.
Yeah.
I know
Chapter 3,
that
verse
you
2.
don't just pick up verse. You could pick any verse in the Bible. They get meaning in context. And if you read it seriously, read and see, said the Lord will avenge. The Lord, and which Lord? We want to give people 120 gods. The Jews and so, you know, used to have all kind of gods, you know. And to decide if the Jews were black or white. You know, that take us up in an angle. And we want to know who is Jews and who ain't Jews. And Paul said who Jews and who not Jews.
But
you know?
that's because of a lack of trust of the history. And who taught you the history?
But we got to learn to reason. You read, you analyze, you compare. How does this information compare with the other information? You follow? Yeah, because a lot of it, we have in, I know in American universities, they do a lot of African studies that are available online. They have a lot of famous, if you want to call them.
Authors?
Professors and so, I mean, people who have done African studies. You know, you could check out what they say, see if it makes sense. Because it isn't everything people say makes sense.
I know
no matter
one,
who they are.
I know one
but you
personally.
check them out. As the Bible says, you compare scripture with scripture, line with line. So for the person, I read the verse, and I would encourage him to take a look at even today. If God says he's going to avenge, he's going to avenge. And you can't deny Jesus and come with they had both named Jesus. God could name Jesus too. That kind of logic don't make sense to me.
I'm pretty sure he's going to call back. He wasn't denying Christ or the Father as being the God. He was not denying that.
Yeah, but he was saying, African had all kind of gods. The Bible says in Psalm 19, there is no voice, no language where God's voice is not heard. God makes himself known to everybody, you know. And as I said, the sad parts, and it is hurtful, I mean, to find out who gave you Christianity and the way they brought it.
Yes, the missionaries.
It is enough to make a heathen out of anybody.
What we call mercenaries.
Mercenaries, murderers, slaughterers, you know what I mean? Some of them, and the aim was land. The aim was land. It wasn't that. Some of them were honest, eh?
Yes.
And somebody talk about the people, the churches who had who educated us.
Well, they came with an agenda.
They didn't. I mean, the Moravian and the Methodists. They taught us to read, you know.
Up to a certain point.
Came in,
because at one point it was forbidden to teach slaves to read and write.
And so, a lot of them suffered. You see, we need to read the history book and stop hearing what people say. It was not easy for the Moravians to go. And in fact, they had to, in some cases, live like slaves. You know that?
No, I don't know that part at all.
Yeah, in St. Thomas, for sure. They had to sell themselves into slavery to get access. Even in
St. Thomas Parish here in St. Kitts?
Easy. It was not easy. You know, sometimes we come, and we just throw a blanket over people. It's not so.
I'll have to research that.
Oh, well, check it out.
I know the Anglican Church in Sandy Point, it was really for the planter class. It was only after emancipation that they allowed the ex-slave to come to church.
You mean the
St.
Anglican?
Anne's. Yes.
But the Methodist big churches.
Yes.
You see that Methodist, you know, the Methodist church was built by slaves, slave money, and the Moravians.
I don't have to be fat, but no, the labor was done by them.
They contributed a penny answer, please. I did my research, you know.
Yeah, no doubting.
Where the church was built.
But that would go to the indoctrination. Because we were sold the pie in the sky.
You see, this is where I tell you again,
Uh-huh.
We confuse indoctrination with education.
Mm-hmm.
You educate a man, he thinks for himself. You hear me?
But if you limit him to, if you educate a person and limit them to just a certain level, you want them to know.
We have this impression that, because they were slaves, they were somewhat backward. Where we get the idea from?
No, we were not. We were not. But that goes to the indoctrination of the image they painted for us and still continues to. So they need to re-educate, is what the young man was referring to. But here's what.
The job is up to us. This is 2021. We must stop that and actively participate in educating our people. Do like Kalanja then? You have all of this information?
Yes.
Ask for a spot or something and come on the radio, go on the television, go in the community center and educate.
Well, I've taken advice.
You have make your literature available. Not you read and you interpret and you come tell me.
We have the Sandy Point Heritage Society. I've gone to the archive, to the museum. I've sat with Mr. Patty Ferrier 2 Sundays ago, and we're getting that history. We'll be able to present it. So we're doing a share in terms of research and etc. But here's what. I have Leroy Matthew, taxi driver, who was supposed to be here earlier, but he had some issues. He's here now. He reached.
Well, he better reach.
I want you to listen.
Black people like to talk and don't do.
I'll come back, so.
All right, then.
I'm going to take him to his little, a little chit chat with him. And you're going to profile and call him back and set him straight as to what he needs to do, okay?
Yeah. You got to do better than that.
At 20 minutes to.
What we do to ourselves.
At 20 minutes to. We're going to pause for a word from our sponsors because we got about 20 minutes into the program. And then we come back and we take on Limat. We shift the conversation, okay? You get a full word from the sponsors? Beautiful.
Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers are making lawn and garden easy. Come to Horseroads Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on our entire lawn and garden department. Yes! For the months of February and March, Horseroads Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off all garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horseroads Building Center in St Kitts and Nevis. Horseroads Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the program. We just had Sister Sylvine on the line. We have a call on the line. Let's take this call before we go back to our guest. Call your 11 voices.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chukai. What's up?
Hey, the King, how are you?
I'm okay. Oh, this is Miss Africa.
Oh, yes, a little bit.
Yeah. What's up?
Yes. Yeah, I listened to Mrs. Henry, and I wish to say good afternoon to Mrs. Henry, and good afternoon to your guest, Limat.
Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I just wish to weigh in here because it seems as if you're going to change the course of your converse.
Yeah, after you.
I just wish to weigh in on one or two things Mrs. Henry said, and actually, I'm going to pick up from what I do agree with Mrs. Henry, and that is why we are here. We are speaking. We are using the medium whichever way we can. Yes, there are other avenues. Okay? But some attempts are being stifled, but we are relentless. I can assure you some attempts has been stifled. You and I spoke about certain things before the King.
Quite so.
And some attempt has been stifled. But albeit we are here and we are going to reach our people. One of the things Mrs. Henry said, I think was last week, Wednesday, on another horse, with another horse, Mr. Kevin Cornelius, and she had really reached out apart from the community center, which is it's good. It's good. We need to utilize those facilities also. But she also reached to the school. Now, Mr. Blake, the educator, when speaking about the school, because education and information ought to reach the public, I agree. But when you're speaking about the school, now considering that we are predominantly 85 or 90% of the African ancestry, African stock, those who want to see themselves differently, they are the descendants of the African petitions, because we like to mix up nationality with ethnicity or race, and which we need to get all these things correct. But let's say, considering we are 85% or 90% of the stock, would it be natural that these curricula in our classrooms be of the norms? Yes, in the United States, as you advance into colleges, and it's mandatory because there are these colleges that are funded by persons of those communities that are giving back, and those are curricula that are embedded in the education, the higher learning, and therefore professors and persons who did Africana study, who have degrees in Africana study. Not so with us, and we are predominantly of African stuff. So why?
That is why we have a discussion about changing the curriculum.
Aren't these curricula a part of why the curricula? No, come on. We don't need that. This is a part of who we are. So we, the brothers and sisters, and everybody that are trying their best here and there and trying to reach out in however which way, are being stifled. But we are still relentless because we have to
appreciate
reach
that,
our people.
because what she's saying
but
that
Mrs. Henry would
we have to
suggest
create
that,
other avenues.
This thing should be in the schools also. It should be naturally amongst not just St Kitts and Nevis, but the whole Caribbean as a curriculum. And there are educators that has tried to reach the hierarchy of the education system to say, well, bring this thing forward. For whatever reason, I don't know why it has not been unfolded yet.
Okay.
So, therefore, the majority, the masses of the youth that need a good start would have gotten their start. And we wasn't going to be trying to say, well, wash the brain now. Because in the reverse way, the brain has been dirty. So we are trying to wash the brains from the dirtiness now. And we would have been teaching it to our children, some things that the mothers had understood in school, and they come home and they're curious and they ask the parents. Then we would have been able to give an answer, an amicable answer to the two children. You want to say something?
No, I was saying, what she was saying, okay, we need to find other avenues to get the education out, the re-education. And I agree with her.
I agree.
And she gave kudos to Escalante for trying.
Predominantly, we are African stock, so why not? This is not a part of the curriculum.
We know the challenges.
When other person's culture and wherewithal and higher learning.
Let me give you a quick story before I switch to Lemma.
We'll talk about these things. Where did these people get them from? They came, they were neophytes, sat sitting at the feet of our griots and learning. So why would we go to this source, like the Sankofa bird, that go back and retrieve from the source? Okay? It was King Leopold who had the Democratic Republic of the Congo as his chiefdom, his personal chiefdom. King Leopold is the one who said to the missionaries, do not go and to tell the people of the Congo about Tatan Zambe, because they already know God. Swallow your pride. He told the missionaries, swallow your pride. You're not taking no God to them. They already know God. Swallow your pride. Let's tell them that their reward is going to be in heaven, because our objective is to get the resources, especially the rubber and other minerals from there. Tell them that their reward is going to be in the afterlife, and so we will get their resources.
Okay.
This was the chicories used, but he specifically told them, the missionaries, the Christian missionaries, not to tell them nothing about God or Jesus or Messiah. Isolele. Kuswa PC, which is Jesus Christ. Kuswa PC came down to be Jesus Christ. So saying Jesus Christ and all these things, I have no qualm with it. It's about the idol that they present to us. You cannot see an idol. It's idolatry, what they presented to us. And if the problem was to reveal the third secret of Fatima, they will know. It's our story. What happened?
I want to cut you, Africa, but you're clocking 7 minutes now.
Portugal.
Yeah? I want to cut you, but you're clocking 7 minutes. Right? So wrap up for me, please. Thank you. All right. Thank you for your contribution. Africa, we're going to have to... I tried to get him to come in the studio, but he said But anyway, yes, we have Limat. He reached eventually in the studio. So, I'm going to just cut to the chase. As a taxi driver, a businessman who invested, made an investment just prior to the arrival of COVID-19, I want to speak about how it has affected you. What changes you had to well, if any changes in your approach to business. It's roughly about a year almost since we had to shut down. What has been your reception from the tourism board? What have they done? What do you think they should have done better, etc.? Just walk me through what you think is your thoughts, because you're the one affected by it, right? So just talk to us.
Yes, good afternoon. I'd like to say special good afternoon to my friends and family outside here. As a taxi driver, the transition was very hard. The closing down of the industry really affected not only me, but a lot of other drivers.
Quite so.
But for me personally, sometimes they say better late than never. And actually, I made an investment a couple months before the shutdown.
We invested?
In terms of trying to get a safari together. And the truck actually came late. It came in April. Mm-hmm. So because it came late and it came during the shutdown, I was able to use that truck to do a little trucking business, to survive. And it's hard doing that because there's a lot of people now that have the same trucking business. And just imagine that it's hard for me and it's hard for a lot of people. Just imagine how much taxi drivers out there, and it's real difficult. I will anticipate about 60% of the taxi drivers really see things real difficult. And
you know this how?
By talking
so
and seeing people at home.
You're in the street, you're interacting with them.
Interact with a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
People come to me and ask for assistance, and if I can help, I help. I mean, I don't have it, but sometimes I give my last because I know that maybe I might be able to ask somebody for something, because when you give, you get back.
You're a member of the St Kitts Tax Association.
Yes.
From the association level, do you know if there's anything that was done in terms of getting the membership together, having a discussion, making representation to the tourism authority, etc., etc.?
I cannot say for a fact. I have reached out to the president at the time, Mr. Barry Wyatt, and gave him some ideas. And, I spoke to David Brandy, who is the next association president. And I spoke to you myself, Socrates, several times. And
yes.
I am always saying that we need to be looked after. Something needs to be given out. Put a package together. Approach the minister, the government, because our business is dying. A lot of people are taking the taxi business for granted. It's a business, just as a store and Port Zante. Our business are dying. When one store closed down, it may not reopen. When one taxi driver loses the bus, he may not get it back. And he must go right into retirement without barely. Some of us ain't got not much to fall back on.
Can you speak to any meeting that the association or the taxi fraternity would have, like in a general meeting with the minister? Did we have that?
No, that will be up to the president to who will meet and from time to time with the minister. But what I can say from talking to the president and talking to people it seemed as though nothing was done to assist taxi driver specifically, apart from the government paid out the stimulus. That was just it.
What about the moratorium? That was given, it was for 6 months initially, and then extended to the next 3 months. Did that benefit? Did you benefit from that?
Well, I have a loan with Development Bank, and I'm really grateful that the Development Bank is so considerate, and there's not much pressure from the Development Bank, but other institutions, we have realized that other institutions has pressure.
Not to name any, but we're hearing that a few taxi drivers will lose their vehicles, their livelihood.
Yes, definitely. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And I was hoping that even the associations get together and approach these institutions and ask them how can they assist, how can there be a waiver, a delay in payment, a reduction in payment.
Well, the delay came away with the moratorium, but no one, even globally, would have anticipated that COVID would stick around this long. So I would say in the first instance when we had the 6 months moratorium, it was okay. Probably by the end of that period, we would have been able to go back on track. There were the attempts and discussions to reopen the border, etc. That didn't generate the amount of revenue because there was a resurgence in COVID-19. Flights had to be canceled again. So we're in phase 2. But what I'm saying, a few weeks ago, I mentioned earlier, there was a meeting where the Chamber of Industry and Commerce formed the Chamber of Industry and Commerce Liaison Committee, where they invited a cross-section of business entities within the tourism sector for discussion at their chambers. The approach was, rather than you, Spice Mill, I'm just quoting, right? Having to go to, Crystal Harbour, go to the government and make an appeal on your behalf because your business is affected. Rather than you, what's the other one? The one in the hotel, that's the tours.
Sunlink.
Rather than you taxi drivers go on your own, why not let's get all the information together, a profile of your industry, and then we can make a collective bargaining approach to the government to assist you. I think that is the discussion. And about 2 months ago, I had a similar discussion with the other two presidents to find out exactly the state of affairs in the respective associations. Unfortunately, as you know, there was a hiccup. The meeting this morning relates to that. We won't go through the details. But I think that's a much better approach than have us to go individually. I know we've had discussion with the ministry, the Tourism Authority. I know there was, they discussed waiving the license fee for about 3 months. For those business license, that should have been paid in January. I know it's now the postponed until. So there was a bit of easement.
It was technically it's not a waiving; they just delayed for a later date. So you still have to come back and pay. First, I think that the association.
So you tell me now what you would like to see. I'm gonna shut up and let you just take us through how it's affected you, what you like to see. If you think we're probably better represented at the with your president, your executive from the 3 associations. If you fell on the job, let us have it.
The king, it's really challenging sometimes to put words together because sometimes
for you
sometimes you try to say try to be honest, but it affects so much people because sometimes people don't like to hear the truth. I feel personally there's a failure on both sides. I feel that there's a failure on the ministry side and there's a failure on the association presidents.
In terms of representation.
And there's so much ideas that we spoke of that nothing was put together or materialized. And I personally is disappointed in that area. Maybe it's time that I need to look at maybe taking a leadership role.
That was a question I had for you. Were you to be president tomorrow? Because I don't know of the two, St Kitts or Limega, which have the large membership. But say, were you, and that's the problem too, you don't have too many cooks in there. You have Limega Taxi, you have St Kitts, you have St Kitts Cooperative. If you were to get under one umbrella, but say tomorrow you were elected president of the St Kitts Association, what will Lemat do?
Well, I have to first hear what the members them want.
But
and
you're saying no, that you believe that the leadership haven't really represented you properly. So you know what's happening up there, what's not happening.
One of the most important thing is to negotiate. I find that the past president was more doing a issue and talking more and not doing, writing and approaching the minister in a proper way. I spoke to him and I said, look, go to the minister and do what you call effective negotiation. Talk to the minister.
Let me tell you.
See what you can get done for your members. You're not here representing
The
yourself.
three presidents, David Brandy, Mr. Barry Daniels, Wyatt, and myself, we sat together, we came to a consensus. We will move together.
As a team.
As a team. Okay? Whatever we have to discuss, we'll go together as a team. We'll formalize and go to them and present collectively. And sadly, it didn't happen. I called Brandy when I said, I understand there's a big meeting down by the Senate office and so we don't know about that.
You're saying that it was too much I in the team.
That's what happened. Now, realistically, Mr. Brandy, and he says to me, boy, right now, the way things look, I may have to stick with farming.
Mm-hmm.
Brandy did that too. Not Brandy, Barry did that.
Mm-hmm.
He even told me one time he have to vacation because he have to deal with the current bread and butter issues.
Really?
So I was leaving Sandy Point daily, coming up. I said, but I'm the only one working.
Working.
He have his farm.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid me joining gas every day coming. And afterwards, it's backed off.
So the only I left was you?
I won't say that. But I'm based on what we discussed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We should have been going forward collectively, and it did not happen.
I think that the time has come with three associations to put a proposal together first and either dialogue with the chamber or got
with the chamber, that's a different level. I must thank Ms. Giselle Brisbane for that initiative.
Yeah, that is a good idea, but we first must get our profile together. We haven't get our profile together.
Listen.
What is happening to us?
On
what is
a
happening
given
to
day,
the members?
when I was seated in front of the minister, discussing issues we discussed, right? There was one president on the radio saying, I ain't gonna meet with the minister, this and that, and that was part of the problem. We discussed this. I'm seated in front of the minister, trying to get things for all of us. Mm-hmm. And you're on the radio saying, you ain't gonna meet with the minister at all. This is a part of the problem. Oh. So, again, should you be in a position of leadership, how would you approach it?
Well, first, I definitely have to bring all the presidents together and work as a team. We got to work as a team to move forward.
Not just a promise.
Then that's yes.
Not just a promise.
No, definitely has to work a team. We have to have the same ideas together, discuss it before we put it up and put it on paper, and we move forward because there has been too much of division, And if the more you're divided, the more people conquer you, the more people enslave you, right? And we have seen that the tourism department has been taking more and more control of our business. And that's the next point we have. They have been taking more and more control and restriction towards our business. Oh. And because we're not together as a team.
I want you to speak to Uber because when I mentioned how Uber was allowed to get a license and the folks at the chamber did not know about it. So the engineer is going to take us forward for sponsors. So when we get back, I'll let you talk about the many things, including that, because people need to know that there has to be an update. We were told by the ministry, well, we're looking to get back to you. They've not done so yet, right? So word from our sponsors, we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsports Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
We're back with Voices, and my in-studio guest now is Mr. Leroy Matthew, otherwise known as Matt, ex-police officer, taximan, etc., etc. Now, I know there are many out there who will challenge us on not being innovative enough in terms of when COVID hits. Let's get interrupted by this caller, but we can get back to the topic. Caller 11 Voices.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I hear.
I'm glad you're here.
You know, something that you all is speaking about now is very amazing. You know, I'm going to say that when I was talking to you about future, you all was thinking about money. Now you all ain't making the money, you all thinking about future.
Really, Quincy?
So I don't understand what you all talking about. It's years ago I tell you all, do not let the tourism authority has control of you all. But you all didn't want to listen. You all were thinking about money.
Some people, Quincy, not everybody.
No, nobody could help nobody.
Some people
if you all were thinking about future, that wouldn't happen. Nobody wants to listen to me. Because I always know everything and I always chatting nonsense.
But Quincy, you always could talk to me. I used to listen to you. Okay,
Sorry for the loss. Okay. So he's always on point.
Yes.
He's always on point, and he keeps us on our toes. But yeah, there were those who were saying that we were not innovative enough, yada, yada, that we should have done more, be more proactive. And so we shouldn't complain because Uber, our satellite company, would step in and take a slice of our work. They saw a need, and they stepped up where we didn't. That's all God said. When that happened, there were people who were operating prior to COVID-19.
With Uber?
Yes.
Yes.
So-called Uber.
Uber.
And they were able to go and get license, which that shouldn't have happened because the person in charge told me, says, Socrates, we don't give license. In as much as it happened, what's your take on that?
Very, very interesting topic. Uber. Let me say this, Socrates. I'm a member of St Kitts Taxi Association. And someone told me that the secretary was recruiting people for Uber. I told the president, hey, ask her to resign immediately. How could you a taxi secretary, taxi operator, recruiting? I mean, this is where the division is. Now, let's look at it this way. I find that there's a sort of biasness when it comes to the laws, certain laws in St. Kitts. And I'm going to bring the police into it. Because sometimes the police used to harass the H-bus drivers, which is insured to carry people for hire or we want.
And licensed to carry for that.
Sometimes your vehicle breaks down as a taxi driver, and you try to get a little work still by maybe borrowing somebody's chance, maybe with a PR rental, and they tell you, you can't operate, it's against the law. Well, how could a P vehicle allow to operate without proper insurance? And it's okay for the authorities. They see it happen. And nobody do nothing about it. But as soon as a taxi driver vehicle breakdown, he can't do this, he can't do that. It is very upsetting. And I find that I think the ministry and the police should take a stance against this Uber situation in St. Kitts.
Well, here's what. The other two presidents, and I met with the tourism authority, the minister was there, etc., etc. And what we were left with is more or less not an apology, but an explanation. Is that somewhere along the line, some entity gave the operators a license.
No, when you say a license.
A proper license.
No.
They paid, they got the license to operate, so you can't take it from them. So it's now a legal matter.
No. Yeah.
I'm telling you what it told me. Caller 11 Voices.
Yes, the king.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm just calling back to, tail what Miss Henry said. And I appreciate she says, I should read the whole chapter, but I've read the whole book. And,
the whole book.
I just throw that out there because, I want to cause awareness. And yeah, I do have an audience because I do talk to people and I also have an audience on social media.
Beautiful.
Now, what we have to understand that there's an antithesis of good and evil. And that started in heaven.
Because, and again, if Miss Henry is listening, the enemy was cast out. And when he was cast out, he welcomed the opportunity to come on earth. And he, knowing what he know, he set out to destroy the people of the Most High. And we know who these people are. Because if you go through our history, and just the history on a global level, you remember when the KKK was formed. And we know who these people are up until today, because they're not wearing the gown now. They're wearing uniform. That's why that man could have knelt on George Floyd's neck with his hand in his pocket. So you see, the thing that I'm trying to cause awareness is we need to understand who the enemy are. Now, you might ask the question, if all white people have that
tendency,
set of that mindset, there's an element, there's a percentage of the element of the white race that is like that. Because look at it. We can go back to Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. We can go as far as to Patrice Lumumba. Mm-hmm. These things that happen, the element of the race that is, let's say, don't condone that type of behavior, they remain silent. Now, you would ask the question, the gospel is for the human race. And, once you get that knowledge of who God's chosen people are, you would be grafted in. You would be grafted in. But look at it today. Every other race on this planet know where their anchor is. The Indians know that their anchor is in India. The Chinese know that their anchor is in China. The Americans knows that their anchor is in America.
Really?
The Europeans know where everybody knows their anchor except we. And to the point that Africa was making, and I have to support him in this, because we see that our people are leaving the continent and dying in the Mediterranean. Our ancestors came and died in the Mediterranean, in the Atlantic, and it's going on today. Why? Because of education. People, you see, the system that was in place upon the continent was done by design. And this is where, had we knew what is in our education system, if we had what they did, we would have been appreciating more. Because the thing, when I came across those two gentlemen who drank liquor to cut up Patrice Lumumba and then throw acid on him, they used that spirit the spirit of alcohol, to create the act. But they didn't even have to drink the alcohol. That's their nature. That's their nature. And this is what our people need to be educated about. And it's not going to be easy because, like the Bible says, he came to his own and his own received him not, because he had no form of comeliness to desire him.
Quite so.
You see how deep this thing is? The damage has been done on every level,
you said you have
and
a
we need
platform.
to restart.
At some point,
we need to restart.
I would like to invite you. You have my number, right? 662-4690. At some point, I would like to invite you to be a guest on this program. Would that have something you want to do?
King, I don't know. I get quotes right very easily.
Think of it, right? Because I want to get back. I want to get back to the topic with Lamat. So give me a call.
Give me your number again.
662-4690. Right?
Okay.
Maybe we can bring you on and we have a more detailed discussion. Right?
All right, man.
Because I hate cutting off people. But once you're prepared to come, give me a call. We can have a discussion, at least the first half or second half of the show. Right? Beautiful. Okay. So we want to thank the caller for his contribution, give him a chance to come in and really have a better discourse. But I want to get back to you. So uninterrupted, the mic is yours.
Yes, we were talking about Uber.
Yes. And I said to you that the minister said to us that unfortunately they've been given a license.
So
it's now discussed at the cabinet level what they do. They will grant a license.
What is a license?
To operate.
What type
a
of
business license to operate.
A business license doesn't give them permission to operate. They need a certificate from tourism to operate too.
That means tourism can stop them?
Yes.
So if that is the case, how come they wouldn't stop with tourism?
Anybody can go and take out the business license because most of the time you're not being questioned. But you must be certified.
But according to the PS in tourism, they came there and discussed with them. But was it granted of the license?
By inland revenue?
So, I don't know because Mr. Gift told me point blank, Socrates, we don't grant license.
What is license? Is it a driver's license, liquor license? What type of license?
A business license to operate within the industry.
No. You could take out the business license, but that doesn't mean that you could operate,
So then, then traffic can stop them because they're not playing?
Yes, okay. Police can stop them. Tourism can stop them.
We were told it went to cabinet level and it's discussed was a legal matter.
If you buy a vehicle with a tip plate from somebody,
you're not allowed to.
Are you allowed to operate as a taxi?
You gotta go to tourism.
You have to get a. But you bought the vehicle.
Tourism and traffic.
Why? You bought the vehicle? If you buy a new vehicle and you have an old one and you want to transfer the tip plate to the new one, do you just go straight to traffic?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
Tourism have to give permission. So
yes.
Why? How are they controlling the legitimate?
Quincy, please don't call and give us licks.
Why are they controlling the legitimate people and not controlling some? That is what happening. The people who is well behaved and is following the rules are getting the worst of this. And trained
in the industry.
Ambassadors.
And have to have the requisite insurance.
Exactly.
And inspected.
Inspected. Fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
First aid kit. You understand?
I did ask the presenter at the airport some months ago when they were talking about COVID-19 and having your vehicle, ready. I asked him, did the folks who operate as Uber operators have to have that plexiglass or partition in the vehicle?
No.
He says, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
So these are some requirements to operate a business like that we do. There's more than one requirement. So just obtaining a business license doesn't give you the authority and the right to operate.
Inasmuch as they were given or granted or paid for the business license and you cannot just take it back.
Socrates,
I'm telling you what they told me.
Socrates, you're from SP, man. People don't fool you so quick.
No. This is what the minister said to us because we had discussions. We challenged it.
You have to.
And this is the position. Inasmuch as they were given the license or granted or paid for it, it's now a legal matter. They just can't take it back. So a whole year would have to expire because they were given a license to last a year.
To do what?
Uberize.
You still cannot operate. The other condition that you must meet. The other condition that the Uber must meet, they have to be certified by tourism. So why tourism asking us to pay a decal, for example? You follow me? Why are they asking us to have a first aid kit? Why are they asking us to have a fire extinguisher? Why we have to be just in uniform? Why? And there's so much other things that really that doesn't meet the standard of Uber to compare to taxi drivers. And not only
what is Uber standard?
They are below government price. They are way below government price.
Take our calls in, that's Quincy.
Sure, send the calls in.
Next one. Are the others? No problem. Call us. So we got a bit carried away, so we'll miss your call. Please, if you can, give us a call and let's have a little discourse, okay? Thank you very much, son. Try again. You're live on Voices. Go right ahead.
Sorry about that, Sacro.
Yes, all right. Go ahead.
Sacro.
Sir.
Damn them, Sacro.
With a banjo.
You know who this is?
I hear the voice. 4th Street?
Okay. Sacro, since COVID, right?
Yes, sir.
All kind of new businesses come up.
Quite so.
All kind of new offers come up. All kind of lower prices come up here and there and everywhere.
Yes.
You ever thought that you all haven't been innovative enough? I mean, the tourism industry gone. And, sometimes when I see all the buses park up in the circus.
That's only a third.
Every day.
That's only a third,
I
not even a
keep
third.
wondering to myself what the bus is offering in terms of lower fares, lower prices. I mean, yeah, the Uber come up and so on, but, all kind of new innovative means of transport come up, and with better prices and better offers. They would carry you all over the place for one price and all these kind of things.
We have a standard.
But
there's a standard.
Right, there's a standard, but you don't have no clout no more, no industry. Right, and before people take a bus to go somewhere, a taxi bus, they're going to look for other options because of the price.
Quite so.
I mean, I use taxi every now and then to get from home, and it's $20. That's a lot of money, and I mean, there are other people out there who will tell you, I'll come and pick you up for $10.
Really? So
you're telling me that drop you back.
You're telling me that you're
and
encouraging...
these people making money.
Basically,
so, I mean,
what you're saying
you all
you're
need to do
encouraging
something and recognize that the industry which you're champion is not there no more. And you got to be innovative and say, well, what can we do? What will we do? Thanks much.
Much appreciated. What the young man is suggesting that you have a reset.
King.
Look at your prices and advertise. We will not be operating at this price or this price.
But King, look at it this way.
Okay, we got about 10 more minutes. It's called Call 11 Voices. If you're on the topic, we want to hear you. Please.
Socrates, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for calling. Long time to hear your voice. Talk to me.
Can conversation has to be good?
You don't tell you Happy New Year.
Yes, you did. You did.
Come along, you did.
You did.
Because we only just not the first or the other month, not the New Year,
That is so. That is so.
Socrates.
Yes, sir.
Quickly, we recognize that the time has run out. So the program is very confusing today. Number one, let me deal with the taxi first, and then we shift, and then I
go back to Ms. Henry. I hear you.
It happened a month shot, it happened Antigua, it happened down the St Kitts, as me listen to you. Why I all time take instructions from the minister when you got a protocol from the tourism? Why all time do that? The minister say, which you got a guideline that the minister will tell you about. And you can't go up on the minister word because you got the guideline. And if you check them out, the minister only there, as the thing. But remember, who actually carry the work, a permanent secretary, so wrong or right?
Hand in glove.
We understand, but
the protocols. Me not loving it. And the minister say. The minister does get run around at times. He have up here. He have Antigua, he have Malbo.
With the minister.
Somebody say just go to the right. Sometimes minister say this and he don't even reach cabinet, he don't even pass a parliament or nothing. So, and people got the minister. And the next thing now, they can't get to work out. And they start out, it's like the minister show who are under the bus.
Here's what.
The minister
give him more time. I could explain to you in more detail so you understand, but to your next point.
Okay, to my next point.
Yeah.
I deal with education, right?
Yes.
I educate, I say one thing. Now, me hear that about the Moravian build church and the Anglican build church and so forth. No man from God earth can build no church. You get what Socrates? So if I educate, I educate properly.
It's spiritual.
No half story. The church, only God alone.
They were speaking about the physical structures of the churches.
But that's not a church. They're not a church. They're a denomination halls. Socrates. There are only one single church and a blood was saints.
Okay.
Right? Then, one more nigga now, I confused me with, the last caller they come on and stop, so that how we know who our enemy be. But then, as far as me concerned, now we got our enemy now like one race. But now we enemy Socrates. And me don't love I come and tie the African race and show me how you can tie the African race and that they get you to him. You understand me, sir?
Yes.
You get that, Socrates?
Yeah, I was taking a call, so I couldn't miss it, but I got the gist of it. Go ahead.
Right, and then me can't believe that you sit down there and hear Africa. I said that Jesus a pagan practice. And you know say nothing, Socrates.
No, he didn't say that.
Okay, for one other program.
He didn't say that. On a different program, okay.
Good.
Not on this one.
Good, okay.
All right.
Right.
Thanks for your call. Always lovely hearing your voice and your contribution. I know you still didn't get a chance, you'll call back and, you have a little dialogue. But in the meantime, we got about 7 minutes down to the close of this program. I'm going to go back to Limat and have him expound on, the topic we're dealing with.
The caller before that spoke about he sometimes take taxi and, and it's something when you got to look at the wider topic, it's very surprising and disappointed that what's happening. And some people being okay with it. It's not okay. It's not okay for you to be paying rent, employing people in a store, and then selling clothes, and then somebody come right by your door outside and set up a booth selling the same clothes cheaper, ain't paying, on the sidewalk, ain't paying VAT, ain't paying this, ain't doing that.
But here's a question for the same gentleman.
Right.
Suppose somebody, entities came on 4th Street and set up right next to his establishment,
cheaper,
selling the same thing cheaper. What would you say? Drop his prices?
Yeah. He won't drop the prices, but he want the taxi driver to drop the prices. We come with a service, not just price.
You got a point.
We come with service, not just price. And yes, some people might have a bad experience with a taxi driver, but 98% of the taxi drivers are well deserving of and well trained and give you a good service. I give the best.
And invested. We were encouraged to invest. And so now, we were told, even with the moratorium, you will have to pay the interest on the wood. It's still there to be paid. I am telling the world, I owe over 100 grand.
I'm asking.
I'm in the red for over 100 grand. I don't know how and when because I'm still unemployed. Over 100 grand, seriously.
Yes, I can imagine.
I had 2 accounts down there, talked with business. When I gave one 8,000 to tell me still 500 change.
You seem as though you're looking at sponsor paper if I'm looking about,
No, never, ever. I'm just being realistic.
But in reality, yes, we invested. And we invested.
We were encouraged to invest, and we did because the industry that has, we call ambassadors, etc., etc.
I mean, the guests, when they come off the ship and they're driving our vehicles, they say, oh, you guys have the best vehicles.
And we sell.
We
do sell our federation,
ambassadors,
which, apart from ambassadors,
only in
we get interest, right? And so when we have a guest that have a bad experience, we go on the extra mile to make sure that they leave with a good report and make a better impression of the funeral. So these guys don't do that, but if you go, it's local, so you don't matter. Everybody, they're parasites.
I want to say something. I remember about 2 years back, some guests returned from a tour with a taxi driver and didn't get a chance to visit the Brimstone Hill. And that was their main thing, to see the Brimstone Hill. And they came back and they were angry and they were disappointed. And I said, excuse me, I'm going to take you guys to the Brimstone Hill free of cost. And I did that. And
that's what we do.
These are the kind of things that we do sometimes to better the country name, to sell the country. I'm encouraging now, Socrates, you, the president of the cops, the president of the St Kitts Taxi Association and Amiga, get together, get a proposal together, go to government, see how we can bail out the associations. We are business, other people is getting help, other stores and companies are getting assistance.
There's that approach. And I did speak to the 2 gentlemen last week. Monday, we may have a new president for the St Kitts Taxi Association. So Mr. Brandy is already aware of this conversation. So we have 2 approaches. One, the one offered by the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the liaison committee, to collectively represent all the various entities or we can go on our own on this one. But in any event, we must have the conversation, lay our tables, our issue on the table with the CIC. This is where we're at. How can you assist us, etc. Go collectively, but it has to be done.
Yeah,
last Monday it was, or was it Friday? I got a call from David Brandy asking us, are we going to meet again today? And I said to him, there's a very special meeting with the St Kitts and Nevis Association on Monday. So I'm waiting the outcome of that before. So as soon as you can let me know what's happening there, we can meet this week. We should meet this week and get an assessment of the various associations and go forward with it, because it has to be done. If not,
yeah, people hurting, and other people getting assistance willingly, easily, and we need assistance too.
Okay.
And I think that we should really reach out.
We're going to hear that you can sit back and wait till the government or wait back too long to give you stimulus, to give you this and that. Yeah, if that was enough, we wouldn't be worried.
Yeah, but you can't feed one child with lobster and give the next one back a neck.
Well, it's well said. You got about next 40 seconds, so the mic is yours.
I'm just asking people to be understanding and try to work with the necessary taxi drivers that are out there, give them a little job if they can. Please do not take the Uber. The Uber is not insured to take you from point A to point B. If any accident, you cannot be compensated using Uber.
Let me
It's a serious offense.
Have you had any feedback from your bank? Do you have any dialogue, any discussion with the bank? Nothing at all?
The bank has been very wonderful, very wonderful. I'm with the best bank in the world, Development Bank.
I'm with them too, so. No, seriously, I've been with them for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so
best
I want to give him
lovely
kudos for understanding.
Good leadership, everything. I must tip my hat to Len Harris. He's been very understanding, and you can go and talk to him anytime. He'll give you an ear.
The next time you're back, it should be after we would have had that conversation with the other presidents and get a profile as you speak to the public. I want to thank all our callers and the many folks who contributed, those who tried to get in. Oh, before I get in trouble, Amber, Louis Hodge, Dominic Anguilla, good afternoon. You missed your shout out earlier. Say hi to Zaro and Chloe for me. Tell them the grandpapa love them. And I'll see them later when I get home. So, for many callers, contributors, for those at home and abroad, it's been a pleasure hosting another episode of Voices. My in-house guest was a bit late, but I believe he delivered. To 4th Street on that call, we will try not to get people set next to you too often to your business, but it is what it is. Want to say peace, love, and a much better tomorrow. Thanks for WINN FM management. Thanks for sponsors.